Thank you, Emma. And thank you, everyone else. Thank you, Bright Club. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first Galway gig. Be gentle. I'm so excited. So obviously, I'm American. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, but I've been living in Ireland for almost 10 years now. And obviously, I moved here for the weather. So this is the nicest audience. You guys, that wasn't even a joke. That was a fact. I should have known this audience was going to be hot for facts. It's a science group. No, it is true. Of course I moved to Ireland for the weather. I grew up in Southern California, where there are 363 days of sunshine a year. Yeah. Tell me about it. Literally, all I wanted was a rainy day. It was my fondest hope to just be able to stay inside, build a fort, do nothing. Instead, my parents were like, you have to go outside. We have to go to the beach. Go swim in your pool. We had a pool. I know. You guys, I didn't know what a hot water bottle was until I was 20. That deserves some pity. Come on. I had a first grade teacher, and first grade's about 6, 7 years old, Miss Sugamura. And on the first day of school, she said, tomorrow, everybody bring in a pair of slippers. Because if we have a rainy day, if, not when, you'll be able to leave your wet shoes in your cubby and wear your slippers in the classroom. Can you imagine anything more exciting than slippers in the classroom? Oh my God. And I had the perfect pair of slippers. They were dark pink sateen ballet slippers with a bow on the toe. Thank you. And if you're wondering if I still have a penchant for fun footwear, ding. The sad end to the story is that the rainy day did not fall on a school day. And so on the last week of school, Ms. Sugamura said, look, we can all wear our slippers tomorrow and then you can take them home. Biggest anticlimax ever. Obviously, I had to move to Ireland. I have like 3 pairs of slippers at home, too. This isn't about slippers. When I was a teenager, we moved back to the East Coast, and the East Coast, has a very different climate. And I realized that growing up in LA had been a positive for some reasons because I was very aware of climate issues. Because in the late 80s and early 90s, LA experienced a pretty dramatic drought situation. And so we were all told in schools and on ads on TV and on the news what we could do to help conserve water. And I loved this because it really just meant bossing my parents around, right? You couldn't water the grass, you couldn't flush after you peed, you couldn't take baths, and you had to take really fast showers. So any excuse to not take a bath, tick, and being able to bust into your parents' bathroom and be like, get out of the shower, you're killing the planet! It's so satisfying. I'm telling you, the revolution is going to be 8-year-old bossing parents around. That's where we need to start, people. But then, so I was a teenager when we moved back east, and I had all this knowledge, but there wasn't a drought, and I was a teenager, and I had other shit on my mind, right? I wanted to learn to drive. I needed to get into college. Matt Damon. And when I was in college, my mom bought a Prius, and so I was like, she kind of took care of it for our family. Doesn't matter if I can't find a recycling bin for this plastic bottle. Mom has a Prius. I can take another trip back to LA to see my friends because my mom bought a Prius. So I kind of feel like, it's very hard to change our personal behaviors and things that we want to be able to do and things that other people have always done their whole lives with this whole climate thing. And I kind of feel like our society thinks about climate in the way that society in the 80s, like early 80s, was thinking about smoking, right? Like all signs, all the facts, all the science pointed one way with like a big shiny arrow blinking. And people were still like, well, I like it. And you'd hear people say things like, well, my grandmother smoked every day of her life and she lived to be 85. What about that? And then you hear the reverse arguments like, well, my Aunt Agatha died of lung cancer and she never smoked, so. what do I do with my hands? How am I supposed to drink a Frappuccino if I don't use a green plastic straw? Like, there's so much that we know that we're supposed to do. And it's just overwhelming. And it's a little bit scary, right? So, for example, like one of the things that an individual human can do to help reduce their personal carbon footprint is to not have children. I have 2. Can you imagine my guilt? I'm not even Catholic. And I am feeling it. And what I like to do when I feel this way is to take my guilt and to ball it up nice and tight and just throw it at another person or persons in the form of intense judgment. Which now that I say that sounds very Catholic, doesn't it? It's sort of rubbing off. Confirm me. And I was really hoping to do a set this evening about my guilt, my personal guilt, specifically about having 2 new humans on the planet, and also the fact that I was going to choose to be incredibly judgmental of those people who are having 4, 5, and 6 kids, specifically the women on Instagram who tend to be privileged white women who are making money off having more babies in the form of like hashtag ad, hashtag best maternity dress, hashtag best muslins, hashtag buy this, I get $2,500. And I was like, look at them. They're making money and putting more humans on the planet. That's ridiculous. I have only 2 children. I've replaced myself. I only smoke on the weekends. And Bright Club was kind enough to hook me up with Gary, our expert. And Gary was like, you can't be such a judgmental bitch. He didn't say that. He didn't use those words. Those are my words. But that's what he meant. You heard what he said. We're all in this together. We have to talk to people. We have to listen, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, but I need to judge people, right? I need to have my choices validated. I want to judge other people. And he was like, it doesn't really make a difference whether you have 2 children or 6 children. We can't really judge people based on that. And it's all going to pan out, and we need to work together. And he's like, I'll send you some literature. And I think when he sent me the literature, he thought, I'm going to send her this, and she's going to go into it with an open mind, and she's going to, ask more questions and be able to have better conversations. But I was flicking through it going, all right, well then who can I blame? Where am I going to throw my little judgment ball, please? And guess what? I found them. It turns out that the couples who make a conscious choice to not have children because of the climate tend to use as much, if not more, resources than those of us who have kids. And why shouldn't they? Right? They have the time, they have the energy, they have the money. They have nothing to do on a weekend. They're like, oh, let's go to Rome. And why not? They can just get on a plane and go. And they don't have to worry about packing a travel cot and finding an Airbnb with a high chair and a car with a car seat. They can buy clothes without pockets. We hate those guys. But as you heard Gary say, and as he said to me, and as is right, we're all in this together. We can't be judging anybody. We're one human being across the planet. So the point is, if you have children, I guess, keep them. Don't feel guilty. Use that energy instead to turn them into those bossy, crazy 8-year-olds who can shout at you and start to take down the government, because every child deserves to wear slippers in the classroom. Thank you very much. I'm Annie Gill.